The Rock and Roll Coffee Show is brought to you by Writers and Rockers Coffee Company, keeping the music and memories alive with some damn good coffee. Be sure to pick up your Rock and Roll Coffee Show coffee only at writersandrockerscoffee.com. And also brought to you by Retroactive, located at Broadway at the Beach in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, keeping you retro with everything from 70s, 80s, and 90s. ShopRetroactive.com.
It's the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show. Yeah, we go.
So you have a new album coming out on November 17th.
Yes. Yep. Tomorrow.
Yes. Through the Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting, right?
Super excited, man. Yeah.
This is your first solo record, right? You did a Dave Rude band record, but is this your first solo record?
I guess, maybe as a true solo album for sure, because, if the old stuff was a band, all the other releases, and this one, there isn't a band anymore, and it was just songs that I sort of had put together on my own, and wanted to release. So I played everything except the drums and all that, and just sort of did it all by myself, sort of on the road, and then at home, and with my mobile recording setup, and just sort of pieced it together slowly.
Yeah. So you did everything. You played the bass, you sang, you played guitar, and you didn't play drums. Who played drums on it?
Derek Deason, a friend of mine who, a guy from Sacramento that I've known for years, and always loved just playing, and so I was really excited to finally have him play. He's in the video for Helen Beck. He's the drummer in the video too.
Okay. Yeah. Who else you got? Who was playing bass in there?
In the video, it's a friend of mine called Britt Panella.
Okay.
He's in a band called Blackboard Jungle. It was kind of like a Sunset Strip band from the 80s that still does like reunion stuff every now and again. But he lives up here in the Bay, so I've known him for years just from that.
I see.
We've been playing club bands together.
Yeah. So tell me about let's start with the record cover, because that guitar right behind you is on that record cover, right?
Yeah.
That is a cool album cover. Very cool. So it's pretty simple, just the guitar and some background, but it's so cool. I mean,
thanks. Yeah. Honestly, I had nothing to do with that. Like we had some other alternate ones that I was more involved in that I thought were cool, but and we were going to go with them, but then the label said, well, let's try one with your guitar, because it's just the color contrast is really cool. Maybe we can do something like that. So they sent it to the artist guy, and he came up with that, and I was like, oh, that is pretty sweet. So maybe we should do that.
Yeah. What were the other options?
I had some. What was it? There was like a sort of with like a flame. It was more arty. There was no guitars on it, but still really cool. Like it had the logo, and one was like a black background, I think, with the flame. And there was another where there was a white one. I think that one also had a flame, but it was like a different version. It was pretty sweet, but it was less like rock and roll. Like once we had the V one, it was like, okay, yeah, this is pretty good.
Yeah, that's badass. That guitar is badass on its own, and then you put it on the album cover. It's even double badass. Now this is coming out on Rat Pak Records. Have you been with them for a while? Yeah,
the last record came out on Rat Pak, and that was 10 years ago, which that's a long time, but it's not like it was, I wasn't like actively doing the band for all those 10 years and didn't get around to doing a record. Like I wasn't just doing it at all, really, so busy with Tesla that I wasn't intentionally like, I'm going to put out an album. It was like, we put out the one in 2013. Actually, the band had already broken up by that point, but it was like, well, we got the record done. We should at least release it. And I had hooked up with Rat Pak, and then, from then, didn't think about it for a long time, and then slowly started putting songs together.
Okay. Now, was there a lot of thought that went into presenting the record, as far as, I mean, you're releasing it on pretty much everything. You got it on CD, you got it on cassette, you got it on vinyl, digital download, digital, of course.
Right.
What, you just went for it all?
Yeah, man. That's one of the cool things about Rat Pak is they're really into the physical product and packaging aspect, and their whole thing is bundles, right? Like all the releases they do, there's always a bunch of cool stuff, right? And a lot of the sort of classic rock fans, miss that. I think I definitely do, and I every time that we're out with Tesla and we're talking to fans, everyone comes up to records. Everyone's like, dude, I love it. I miss the old days when it was like a vinyl or at least a CD. And, I do too. Cause, growing up, it was tapes and CDs for me, and actually vinyl too. But first time I bought a record, every time I bought a record, the first time I'd listen to it, I would sit there in a quiet room and read the lyrics along with each song. And I'd read all the liner notes. And so like, I know all these people are like assistant engineers and like people like nobody knows who these are, but I know all their names from all these records and like special thanks, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I was like really into it. So I do really appreciate that, we have put it out as all these different formats, especially cassette. I mean, when they told me, hey, we want to put out a cassette, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Yes, let's go.
Is it the clear cassettes or the white? Is it white?
The white ones.
Oh,
right?
really old.
I haven't even seen a cassette in so many years. It's great.
That's great. I didn't even. I mean, I heard about cassettes selling, but I never really thought about. Okay, yeah, let's put it out on cassette.
Yeah, why not, right?
But yeah, I picked up the vinyl one. So.
Oh wow! Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I heard the record, and the record's great.
Thank you.
I think some of my favorites are probably Drinking with the Devil.
Oh, thanks.
I like that. And you did that one acoustically too. What made you want to put an acoustic version of that on the album?
That one I actually wrote on an acoustic guitar, and so it always had that feel to it. And also when I was, I think it was two different times. We were doing the Monsters of Rock cruise with Tesla, and I did solo acoustic shows a couple of those times. On our off days, and just me and my guitar, and I'd have a little looper pedals and kind of do it, and I was doing some of these songs before they come out because I didn't have any other songs. These are new to the world, but I've had them for quite a while. So I was like, well, I can play these ones, and that one works really well acoustic. So then the label said like, hey, we need a bonus track for like whatever overseas releases or whatever it is. Can you do an acoustic version of something? I said, oh, that's perfect. And it was not just like we muted the electric guitars and called it the acoustic version. Like I redid all the guitars, and then so it's the same vocals and drums, but actually I think the drums might even be different. I can't remember, but yeah, like I recut like a whole different arrangement, different solo, and all the slide stuff. With acoustic, because it just sort of lends itself to an acoustic treatment, I thought.
Yeah, because you have another acoustic song on there too, right?
Yeah, I have the little short instrumental one, and then I have that big long crazy weird art thing that it's at the end of it called the Ship Came In.
Yeah. Now I'm into the acoustic stuff right now. It's weird how I go through phases. I'll do the heavy thing, whatever rock, and now I'm into the acoustic rock stuff. Mm-hmm. So I love the leads on those. I love hearing leads in acoustic for some reason right now.
Oh man, right? It just sounds good. Like when you hear acoustic, like it has a different sort of texture. Like I love Guns N' Roses has always been one of my favorite bands, and GNR Live, like, geez, the acoustic songs on that, like, just all the leads are, it kills you. I don't know, something about the way it was recorded. Like, I love the sound of a solo on an acoustic too.
Yeah. I don't know why, but acoustic's my thing right now. I picked up an acoustic bass back there too.
Ooh, nice. Acoustic bass are badass.
Yeah, they definitely have their own sound. I'll tell you that, and they're harder to play. I'm just like an acoustic guitar is harder to play.
Sure.
I'm liking it. I just got it, so I'm still messing with it. So these songs, you said you've had them for a while, right?
Yeah, it's funny. So I actually did start writing some of the songs in the early stages 10 years ago, because I had put out The Key, the last solo record, but similar situation, not nearly as extreme, but that record had maybe been done for a year, and it was just that it finally was released in 2013. But, so by the time it came out, I was kind of like, one, the band was over. And so I wasn't trying to do any solo stuff. But sometime that year, I was kind of thinking, oh, it'd be fun to just do like this, a true solo album, no band, not worrying about how I'm going to do it live or anything, just like make a cool record and put it out. Because I knew Rat Pak was interested in doing something. And I thought, well, it'd be just something fun to do as like a selfish artistic endeavor and go, nuts with tons of guitars and make a lot of riff songs and solos everywhere. And that'd be really cool. So I started writing a couple songs like that. And then we got busy with Tesla. I was like, oh, we're going to make a new Tesla record. So I kind of shelved it all. I'll get back to that later and go into writing mode with Tesla and recording and then touring. And it's like, all of a sudden, a year and a half's gone by. It's like, oh, I should start working on those songs again. I would do that. And then we started going out with Def Leppard and we got really busy with them. And then that turned into another record. And that record was like, a long time, also mixed in with a lot of traveling. So it was always kept getting backburnered until the Shock record was done. And then we were touring a lot. But actually, the way we had made the Shock record, what Phil from Def Leppard produced, we were out with them so much that we were doing like master takes of keeper, guitars and bass and even some background vocals and stuff on tour. Like we would have our mobile rig set up, mine or Brian's, and in dressing rooms. And sometimes we get together on days off in hotel rooms. And we would record stuff that, the bulk of the album was made that way. And I realized how easy it was and how fun it was and how much time we have just wasting on a normal day on tour. Like there's so much time to kill that it was like, and I had already done it, but I was like, it was just kind of eye-opening. Like, wow, I can get like album tracks. Like I'd always written and I'd always done demos, but I was like, with these good plugins and my new, I had this universal audio thing that I was using. I was like, it actually sounds really good. So why don't I just do my record like this too? Because I've already been doing it with the new test record and it worked fine. So that's what I did. And that's sort of when it came, that sort of, I don't know, year or so when I started like, okay, I gotta finish. I need another song. Oh, I gotta write the words and, and all that. So it became a more focused thing for a good year or two. Up until really probably closer to when the pandemic, like I was going to release this record in summer 2020. I was already trying to plan tour because I knew we had this month off in the middle of the summer. I was like, oh, it's great. We never have time off in the summer. I'll go do a tour. And I was like, starting to get the wheel turning on trying to get something like that happening, but
then you ended up having a lot of time off.
Quite a bit. Yeah. And then, and how frustrating was that, right? Because it was like this much more needed to be done on the record. And then it was like, I can't even finish the record.
Now, you say you're recording on the road and stuff. Are you doing direct with plugins or are you, just straight? Yeah. That's it?
Almost all of it. I mean, I have.
Wow, you had some great tones on there.
Oh, well, okay. So, yeah, thank you. I did, the whole record originally was done with all plugins. It was, it's funny. That's how you can tell that it was through the years because I started with Guitar Rig, which all of them are great. But like when I first started getting in plugins, I used Guitar Rig, which was great. And I started getting into Bias Amp and Bias Effects. And then I got Amplitude 5. And like, so whatever the newest one was, all the guitar tracks for like a while would be all on that. But they all sound really good. And I was thinking, why bother redoing it? I think they're cool. And by that point I knew like I can use the takes and maybe I'll reamp it. But I was sort of married to the sound and I wasn't going to, but luckily, Brian Wee from Tesla, who mixed the album, he kind of talked me in to reamping it. And the engineer at J Street, Jack O'Donnell, he also was like, dude, it does sound great. If you reamp it, it's gonna sound even more great. Like trust me, just give it like try one song. And man, I'm glad I did because we reamped it, which for those of you who are not into recording, I recorded it all in this little box in my computer with the plugins, which is like, digital modeling amps that you can't tell the difference, but it's not a real amp. But then we take what you can do with reamping, you can play the dry tracks through a real amp later after you've already recorded it and mic the amp. So it's the same as if I just played it through an amp, because then it's pushing air. You know,
Yeah.
the best description is it just kind of turned it into like HD version of those same
Sure.
tracks.
Sure.
So actually, it is all real amps now at the end of the day.
Okay. Did you combine them or did you just stick with the reamping?
I did all reamp. There's like maybe one or two parts where it was like a real particular effect and just
Mm.
sort of weird tone that you can never recreate those weird accidents. Like I can't get that thing again. Like it was just some magical weird sound. So I think somewhere on there might be like a little weird ear candy overdub that I kept, but 98% was reamped. And then because I did all the vocals, the drums, and then the acoustic guitars at B-Dub Studio J Street back when it was in Sacramento. So I was in there, and it's a great live room where I did all the acoustics, and that's where we set up the amps when we were reamping.
Okay. Now you said Brian mixed it and you recorded it at his studio?
All the stuff that was needed to be done in a studio, yeah. So because he has the place in Sacramento was awesome. He just recently moved it to upstate New York, and the photos I've seen also equally awesome. So it's going to be great. But when it was there, like Tesla recorded a couple records in there. We were always up there, and it was a great studio. And yeah, it's like a legit ass studio. Like he's got all the gear, all the outboard stuff, mics, the whole deal. It's like it was acoustically engineered, all the room, everything. So I did all the vocals there, great mics. Again, all the pre's is killer, and then the drums, all the percussion overdubs, and then the acoustics. Yeah, we're all done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the production on it sounds great. I mean,
Thank you.
everything sounds really good. Yeah. Hey, on Drink with the Devil, the beginning, the little melody there. What are you doing there? What do you have on those? Is that your guitar?
It's my guitar, but it's also I'm singing the same melody, so it's a
Mm-hmm.
slide guitar.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
But then I do that on top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And I,
Okay.
I haven't heard it actually in a little while now. I think we might have put like a little distortion on the vocal, so it kind of mix. It sort of sounds like its own instrument where they mix together.
Yeah, yeah. It had a unique sound to it, so I wasn't sure what you were doing there. It sounded like your guitar, but then I was hoping maybe it was a kazoo.
It has that, right? It
Yeah,
sounds like a kazoo.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's vocal with I think a little bit of distortion mixed with slide guitar, and then on the acoustic version, same thing, but I redid it all right.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Brian's studio. Now that's in the making. You made a video of making of Hell and Back, right? Is that
Yeah,
the studio and everything?
yeah. That was it. Like the all the footage of me singing, actually, and it happened to be Hell and Back before we knew it was going to be the single. Yeah, so the footage of me playing, sitting in the control room behind the board. I think there may be some shots into the live room that you can see, and then all the vocal stuff was in the main vocal booth, and then we shot that little interview section in the front lounge. It was great. That was I forgot we had done that like 2019 also. Maybe, I think like late 2019, and it's like, oh, it's the last piece of the puzzle. This record's about to come out. And like, oh man. So we're like, oh geez, it's gonna be so outdated, but luckily, pretty much the songs are still the same, so we can still use it.
Yeah, it worked. I didn't know
Yeah.
it was that old. Did you film more?
No, we just did that. I mean, there was a little bit more, but I mean, the guy came out for like half a day, like because I was
Okay.
still tracking, like I had to like
Yeah.
sting for 4 hours, and then like he came at like noon, and we went and shot
Yeah.
some footage.
I love seeing stuff like that. That's why I was hoping you were going to say you were going to release VHS. You
That
remember the
would be,
VHS? That would have been
dude. I
awesome.
mean, the first band to release something on VHS is gonna win the year. Like I'll buy
Man.
it, even if no matter what.
Mm, yeah. How many songs did you write for this record? Because
Um,
how many songs are on 11, right?
I think so. Yeah, maybe it's 12 with that acoustic version of the same song.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot. I think there was like one or two others that didn't make it, but um, I'll say if I was to do it now, I would definitely do it in a more traditional way where like, like usually, and well, it's the weird thing also because it's just me, right? So I was like, instead, usually if it's a band or even two or three people, kind of like write for a project. We have an album, we're going to write a record. And like this time to this time, you have like a window and okay, we're going to make all our songs. And we should have this direction for the album or all that. This was so not that. Like, and there's upsides and downsides to that. It was very sort of just organic, going where the muse took me, and again through all the time and the time off, and it was like whatever felt right, and so it wasn't like I'm gonna write 30 songs and I'll choose the best 12 so they're really really good. It was just like this is what I'm working on now and I really like it, and then I'm gonna do over this other thing, and it came out, and then I mean came up to where it's like okay, well this is gonna be an album and I need a certain number of songs, and now I've got that many songs and I like them all, so that'll be the record. It was more like just going on feel, where if I was going to do another record now, I would definitely do it like I'm going to take this month and write a record with a theme and like a thing, and I probably would work with co-writers and stuff just because I would love to do it differently next time, and I really love writing like that too.
Is there a lot of pressure writing by yourself as compared to maybe writing with Tesla or other people?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe a little bit, just a little bit of like, I hope people like this because I got nobody to blame except me. Like if it sucks,
It's all you.
This guy 100%. Sorry,
Yeah.
y'all, but hopefully it doesn't suck that bad, right? No, I mean, that's the only difference to me. Like, what I've said before, because I love writing with other people. That's like outside of Test, I do a lot of that for other artists, and that's something that really is so fun. It's like one of my favorite things to do, and I do it a lot. I go to Nashville and write with people, and one of the funnest parts of that to me is the bouncing off back and forth of like, oh, I got this thing, and like, oh, that's cool, and then oh yeah, and then someone else jumps in and like, oh, what if we went like this? Oh yeah, that'd be cool, and then throw out ideas for hours, right? And then sometimes the ideas suck.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but what if we tried it like this? Or maybe they take your idea and then change it, add something to that. And now this is this awesome thing. So when you're by yourself, you don't have that. So what I would do, not entirely intentionally in the beginning anyways, but I would, I like to write songs, so I'd do it by myself anyways. So I'd write, kind of get it all out. Okay, cool. I think I'm got everything I want to say. Usually it's too much, right? It's like it's too long or there's too many parts, whatever. So, and at that point, I don't want to hear it anymore. I've been writing it for a few hours, like, I need a break. So I come back a couple of days later, and then it's almost like you're a different person because you're in such a different headspace. You can look at it and be that other guy who would have been in the room if you were co-writing and be like, that part, you don't need that part. B section sucks. Get rid of that. That line is stupid, and you can kind of criticize yourself after the fact and then make those changes. So it's sort of like a slower version of writing with another person.
Yeah. Now you chose Hell and Back as the first single and you did a video for it.
Yeah.
What made you want to do a video?
It wanted to be fun. I didn't do a video for the last record. When it was the band back in the day, we only ever did one real video anyways, from a couple records ago. And that was really fun. But I feel like that was like another lifetime. Like this is now. And I wanted to do it, which is crazy because videos are kind of a hassle to make, but I just kind of, I would love to have this record have its little moment, and you have to have visuals, right? Because we got all this cool bundles, all these great things. Most people are gonna like listen like this. They're gonna listen on their phone with earbuds or just that awful speaker phone. Like, oh, right. It's not gonna be the way people making records hope it's gonna be. Intended to listen to. So you got to have visuals, and so that's why I really wanted to make a fun video to watch, which is also why we chose Helen Back, because it's one of the more upbeat songs. That there was other ones I was thinking of maybe doing as a single, but it's like that's that's going to be a funner thing. Like it's more energetic to if you're watching. You know, if I'm lucky, I'll maybe get like 9 seconds while somebody's scrolling through Instagram and they're like, "Oh, cool." Anyways, you know, but like that's all anybody has, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, yeah, just to sort of make it more present in the minds of music fans out there these days, because it has to have some visual medium too.
Yeah. Well, you did a great job on that as well. I mean, everything on this release is very professional. I'll say that. You
Dude,
know,
thank you so much. Yeah,
you see
thank
a
you.
lot of stuff these days and they might cut corners here or there, but everything I've seen and heard from this record, this release is very professional.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that one, that is sort of intentional, because I'd rather not do something than do it half-assed. Like,
Yeah.
Lord knows I've done enough of half-assed stuff in my life. But I was like, I'd rather not do it than have to be like embarrassed about it. So I'd
Mhm.
rather do it once really well, that I'm like, yeah, that's how I wanted it to be, or not do it at all.
Yeah. Yeah. How about of course I got to ask you about taking it live. Are you going to be doing any live shows?
You know, I hope so. I've like I said, pre-COVID, when I was going to put it out, I had started to get the wheels turning for booking something, and nothing had actually been booked, but it was get going in that direction. Um, and now, 2 years later, or three, God, it's going to be almost four. Jeez. Okay. Anyways, it's going to be summer
Time flies.
2020, so it's going to be 4 years later if I do it right. Um, I actually am kind of feeling excited about trying to do some shows. So I don't know how that'll be. Tesla does really well in the Midwest and the South. So I would love to go there, right? More likely people will show up and be excited, because it's really hard for musicians to do anything, but especially, you know, I'm lucky to be a part of an established band like Tesla. So we have our fan base because Tesla has been built over 40 years. But any new artists, like any of us on our own, it's like instantly way smaller venues, and you're like really like hoping people will show up. It's a different thing, right? When you go solo, man, I've seen huge artists solo play like 200 people, like, bet you weren't expecting this, brother, were you?
Yeah.
Like we're used to
Oh yeah.
20,000.
Yeah, I've
And
seen bands come through here in Myrtle Beach.
yeah,
Bands you would know if I say them. I'm not going to say names, and
right,
there's
right,
maybe
right.
20 people there.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard.
it's really hard, and so it's all good. I'm totally aware of the reality of it, and so I I want to come do it there. And the same thing as like the presentation, I want to do it right. So it's hard to do that. You kind of have at least one or two crew guys, a band. Like there's a lot of expense. So it's definitely not off the table, and it's something that I'm interested in doing. It just might maybe take a bit of time, because I want to do it like where I'm like stoked, and not kind of like, well, yeah, we're on somebody's borrowed amp, and it kind of sucks. Bass player
Yeah.
sucks. Couldn't get the guy I wanted. Like I'd rather wait until it's going to be firing on all cylinders.
Hmm.
And hey, maybe I'll do something here in California, but California is not so good for rock. It's
Hmm.
people don't
No,
really keep up.
and you got to find. I mean, Tesla is probably one of the busiest bands out there. I think.
Dude,
I
we're
mean,
lucky that
you
people
have
want
some
to
time
be.
off right now, right? Until January, I think.
We do. I mean, literally, I've been home less than a week. Like I did go to Nashville, but yeah. So we've got 2 months off, about maybe a little more, and that's nice. But it's great because it's not too long. It's just long enough to like get into home mode, do the holidays, and then get back out, and it's not a huge gap. It's because yeah, we're so lucky that there are people that keep wanting to come see us, and we'll keep playing. So um, we're all really grateful to be able to do it. So we're going to be playing as much as we can.
Yeah, I mean, you're kicking back off in January, I think it was, right? In
Yeah, dude,
Florida.
we get like a week and a half in Florida. So I didn't know there's that many cities to play in
Yeah,
Florida. It's awesome,
that'll be great in January. Won't be too hot.
especially. I mean, it'd be perfect. Yeah,
Yeah. How did the Vegas residency go when you guys did that?
it was so fun. We did two of them, and during the pandemic, when we couldn't work, I was teaching guitar lessons all the time, just like this right here. This was my background for all my lessons all day, every day. I was teaching 9 to 5. It was great. And I remember for some reason thinking about that. Like I'd see these things about bands that had done residencies and some that were, planning to come back when things were opening up again. And it was all these huge arena bands. And I was thinking, man, that would be so much fun. There was something about like I associate it being like sitting in this chair, not having any shows to look forward to, and being like, how cool would it be to be like doing a residency in Vegas? And I thought, it'll never happen because it's only those huge arena bands and stadium bands that do that. And then lo and behold, they offered it to us, and it was like, wait, really? Cool. And we did it, and the first one sold out every night. I think the second one did too. So it was like, okay, that's so cool that there's a market for that. It doesn't have to be this giant stadium band to do well in a residency. You can have bands of where we are, and still make it worthwhile, and still have enough people that want to come see it. And we have really dedicated, so many people that came to like every show or almost every show. People who'd fly around the world to come see 3 nights. It was really cool. So it just as a personal level, I was like, oh my God, we are going to get to do a residency. This is great. And it was such a blast. And, House of Blues there, we play there anyways when we do like a tour and we hit a Vegas night, it's usually there. So we've done it a bunch, and it's always killer. And the shows were fantastic. It's so weird to be in the same room so many nights and the gear's just set up.
Just
like,
there.
it's cool. You have to, like, techs are just like chilling after the show. They're like kicking their feet up in the dressing room. Like,
no, they were loving
like,
it.
Busy. They're like, oh yeah, I forgot. You're off. Let's go hang,
Yeah. Yeah. You think you guys will do it again?
I don't know, but I hope so.
Yeah, you'd like to.
I would love to. If it happens, I'd be really excited.
Uh-huh. That's great. Now, speaking of Tesla, you guys have been releasing singles like the past one a year, I guess it's kind of been, right?
More or less, yeah.
So we're about due for a new single, right?
I know. Yeah.
I think you did one in 21 and 22, but I don't think, if I recall, one came out in 23.
Oh, could be, right? Yeah, might have. Okay, I think you're right.
So we got a couple weeks. You got one?
Yeah, I know. Geez, we're on the clock now, man. Uh, there's one that we've been working up a little bit, that I think last we were talking about it. The plan is to sort of do a proper version of that, and then put it out, and have that sort of be the new song next year, because it's kind of nice to have one song be there, and you can throw one song in the set, no one's going to get mad, but you cut out their favorite classic one. It's just in one extra song, and it's fun for us, it's fun for the fans. We got, like I said, the a lot of diehards who actually want to hear new songs,
Yeah.
And which is a really great place to be in. And it's not, let's take 6 months off and make a record and all this stuff. It's just, everyone's got studios in their house. Like, I mean, I've emailed guitar tracks that have made a record before. It's like, it's easy. Everyone, we can do that in 2 days.
Yeah.
Instead of 6 months, and then have a new product without having a new product.
Yeah. Is it worth making a new record today for a band?
Financially, absolutely not. It's a complete fool's errand.
Yeah.
But it's creatively and personally, then it's just up to the artist. Like,
yeah.
I still love to do it. Right. It's still fun, and I know all the other guys in Tesla, like, we're all excited to do it. It's just, we have to, really streaming and the way the internet disrupted the music business so much, for better and for worse, really just took away that revenue stream. There is no money for recorded music for, the bulk of bands, at least for rock bands. There's a very, very few amount. And even those guys make way less than they would have 20 years ago from the same success. And so anyways, we're still so excited to do this, but the bulk of of any band's earnings now is live touring and merch. So
Yeah,
that's our focus. Um, and so, we've talked about it before. It's like you have to stop touring for a while to really make a record. And even with other people, even having studios, it still costs a lot. So
sure.
it's kind of like a lot of money, a lot of time, and time that you're not on the road.
Yeah, you're not making money, you're spending money. And
Right.
what do you do?
And then, so like I was saying, with the singles, we're just adding one song. If you put out a record, you're only going to add one or two songs anyway. It's like you make 12, but you're not playing them all, right? People want to hear the old stuff. So, which is great. We're happy to play the old stuff. We want to play it too. Um, but, it's kind of like cutting out the middleman. Like, we'll just make that one song we were going to be playing live anyways. Um, and, and not have to deal with the other stuff. So it's unfortunate because I'm a little more old school. I like the art of an album, and I like listening to the whole thing. And you know, it's sort of different nowadays. But I remember when I was growing up, it was like if you really liked a band, you didn't just have the single. Like just to be like a fan, you had to have the whole album.
Yeah,
And
of
really then
course.
only one album. You have to have like a few and like know them. Like what? Yeah, but what? Like I didn't even have a CD player. I was listening to cassettes, right? So I didn't know the track numbers. I knew the titles. Like that's really old. So like track eight. Like I don't know what track eight is. What's the name of the song? You know? And but I knew it's like when you listen to a record and it's a band that you love, it's like you get to know them. At least that's how it feels to me as a fan. Like I feel like I'm in their world. I feel like there's some sort of connection and like
Mhm.
sort of visceral. I don't know.
And with
But
vinyl and cassettes, you had to actually work because you had to get up off your bed
yep,
and walk over there and flip that tape.
yep,
You couldn't just sit
totally.
there and fall asleep listening to music, endless music, You had to
You
work.
know what? As great as it is to have the world at your fingertips, it's also to me sometimes just completely infinite choice. It's hard to like know what you want to listen to sometimes. Like I used to like, I want to hear this, and I'd go look in my CDs or I like I don't want to hear, and I go look, that looks cool. Now it's like overload. Like there's always some new release, and like I heard this one was good, and you heard something on a playlist. Like oh, that one. Maybe I should just listen to Foo Fighters. I don't know. You know, it's like a choice overload for me, and again, not to sound like some anti-tech guy because I'm not. It's just that's one thing that I miss about when music was a physical thing that you owned and paid for and kept, and it was yours.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. No, I agree. I'm with you. I mean, you're probably I don't know how old you are. You might be a little younger than me, but
I'm 45, so it's
yeah. Well, I'm
I grew up
50,
with
so
yeah, same
we
same.
grew up with the same stuff. So you don't
Mhm.
know how many cassette tapes I ruined trying to learn the songs because it would back and forth trying to go and it would get eaten up and
Totally, and the ink wears off the side, so then it's a blank.
yeah, man. So people can get your bundles at Rat Pack. What is it? Rat Pat Rat?
Yeah, Rat Pak Records.
Rat. Yeah, what you said.
ratpackrecords.com, and it's RATPAK records.com.
Right. And they can get, I'm trying to remember what was up there. I should have had it pulled up here, but I don't because I'm not that prepared. But um the vinyl bundle,
Yep.
right? They
Yeah.
can get
You probably know better than I do. There's a couple different like levels that are available.
yeah, but they can get it individually as well, right? They can get just a CD or just a cassette tape, if I
Yep.
recall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can buy the CD, the
Don't have
tape, the vinyl, autograph version, not autograph version, or like the crazy bundle with
yeah.
all the fixings.
I think I got the autograph vinyl bundle.
Oh man, so cool. Thank you.
So it better be a real autograph.
It is, yeah, right. Like it's funny because you know how they like you have to send them out, and like we've done that with Tesla, and it takes forever because like they send it to you unwrapped, send it, you got to sign them all because you can't just like
Can't
throw them
smear
back
it.
in the box or you have 500 smeared records, and then you FedEx it to the next guy, and then he does it, and then you FedEx it to the next guy,
Oh
then it's
man.
sent back to like the distributor, whoever the hell does that. Like
Mm,
it was just me for me, but still, like that was like months and months ago because then you got to send it. Then they go to the factory and shrink wrap and all that. It's kind of
yeah.
fun
And
part of the process.
the vinyl is red, right?
Yeah, Yeah, because
Okay.
it was trying to match the red on the pick guard, so to keep that red and white thing.
Yeah. Red's your favorite color, isn't it?
It's one of them. Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Hey, you know what I want to ask you before we go? That guitar with the white neck behind you,
Yeah.
how hard is that to keep that neck clean?
Right, like
When you
white
first
car,
got
like, oh,
that,
I gotta go to the car wash every other day.
when you first got that, were you like washing your hands every time before you played that thing?
No, it's funny. I've only noticed, I mean, because it's been years, right, that I've had this
Yeah.
guitar, and even longer with the prototype before that. And like, I don't know, once or twice ever, I've like looked down, and it'd be like on the side, like where it's not even on the
Yeah.
neck, see, but like, oh, yeah, I can kind of see like some smudges, or I must have had some grease on my hands. So surprisingly, not a bit. Like I don't know,
Wow.
I
Every
don't
time
know
I
how
see it, it's white. It's like I don't see any smudges, nothing. I'm like, what in the hell?
pristine. Yeah, it's clear fretboard. It's kind of crazy how that works, but it's perpetually clean.
Man. All right, Dave. Well, again, album's great. I think people are really going to like it. Congratulations on the release.
Thanks.
So, Rat Pack. I can't say Rat Pack. There we go. RatPackRecords.com. You can get it.
Yep, that's it. You can get it all there, and it comes out officially tomorrow.
Fantastic. All right, buddy.
Thank you for having me, man. It was great to talk to you again.
Anytime. Yeah, good catching up.
Thank you.